In 1993, the Bush family crime syndicate associate, Bill Clinton, was elected President of the United States. Bill Clinton had belonged to a Masonic youth organization called Damali, and Bill Clinton was also educated at Jesuit-controlled Georgetown University, where he was known to be very close to the faculty. Bill Clinton went on to study as a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University, and the Rhodes Scholarship program was originally developed to go in sync with the imperialist socialist agenda of the Royal Institute of International Affairs. Bill and Hillary Clinton have also attended the U.S. sister organization of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Council on Foreign Relations, and Bill and Hillary Clinton have also attended Bilderberg. Bill Clinton has attended the Bohemian Grove Club as well. In 1993, a group of Christians in Waco, Texas had anticipated a battle with NWO forces, and also the return of Jesus. They lived in their own compound, and they were well armed. This group called themselves the Branch Davidians. When the ATF came to raid their compound, then a firefight ensued, killing 4 ATF agents and 6 Branch Davidians. A 51-day standoff followed, and Bill Clinton was responsible for U.S. military Delta forces being illegally used to handle the United States law enforcement situation. Tanks were driven into the compound, firing CS gas canisters, while commandos exited their vehicles and fired machine guns. Hours later, tanks were again driven into the compound, this time firing flamethrowers. As the compound became engulfed in flames, women and children took shelter inside of a concrete room in the middle of the compound. High-powered explosives were then detonated on the roof of this concrete room, and everyone inside was murdered. Another 80 Branch Davidians were murdered in this entire assault. 2 years later, on the anniversary of the massacre at Waco, a large truck bomb was detonated in front of a federal government building in Oklahoma City. Racist anti-U.S. federal government extremists had detonated this truck bomb, and these extremists had also funded this operation by robbing banks. FBI informants had assisted the extremists in robbing these banks, and the explosives expert who had helped to build this bomb was also an FBI informant. Federal officials were aware of the extremist plan to bomb this federal building, and federal officials had more than likely also placed professional demolition charges within this building as well. The U.S. federal government then blamed these extremists solely, and the U.S. federal government also used this incident to attack the constitutional militia movement, causing it to shrink greatly. The constitutional militia movement had been growing ever since the massacre at Waco, and the constitutional militia movement had absolutely nothing to do with the Oklahoma City bombing. On September 11, 2001, NWO forces murdered 3,000 innocent people in New York City. While hijacked airliners flew towards their targets, most likely guided by remote control. Air defense pilots remained confused, because they were simulating a similar type of attack at the very same time. U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney had taken complete control of air defenses at this time, and Dick Cheney was responsible for issuing the direct orders that resulted in the intentional failures of air defense. After the airliners hit their targets, then the Twin Towers were imploded in controlled demolitions. A third building in the World Trade Center complex was also imploded in a controlled demolition, and this building was known as WTC-7. Throughout this entire attack, Skull and Bones member George W. Bush was responsible for playing the role of United States President, on behalf of his Illuminati masters. The Illuminati had set the stage for an intended World War III, and George W. Bush played right along, while the United States continued to be destroyed. The Patriot Act was signed into law, and George W. Bush was given dictatorial powers as president. The War on Terror was launched, and the Bush regime was able to start imperialist occupations of both Afghanistan and Iraq. Companies such as Halliburton could then make record profits, while the United States was driven ever closer to complete bankruptcy. Preparations for a North American Union were launched via the secretive Security and Prosperity Partnership, as the Illuminati moved to regionalize the globe towards their push for one world government. In 2009, a United Nations food code that is known as Codex Alimentarius is set to become international law through the World Trade Organization. Codex Alimentarius includes extremely high allowances for toxic chemicals, while at the same time placing severe restrictions on, or completely banning, vitamins and minerals, which it classifies as toxins. The IG Farben scientist Nazi war criminal Fritz Vermeer was the main architect of Codex Alimentarius, and the UN has itself predicted that Codex Alimentarius will lead to a minimum of 3 billion deaths once it becomes international law.